Good day, everyone. This is the presentation of Group 10.
I'm Michelle Nano.
I'm Suzanne Bernido.
And I am January Aparilia. And our topic is about the use of sources to make inferences to get writing.
Use sources to make inference to get writing. What is inference? So inference is the act or process of deriving a conclusion based on what one already knows or on what one assumes. The statements given as evidence for or that supposedly lead to the conclusion are known as premised. Simple definition of inference. The term inference refers to the process of using observation and background knowledge to determine a conclusion that makes sense. Basic inference example can help you better understand this concept. Simple definitions of inference. The word inference is a noun that describes intellectual process. The basic definition is a conclusion drawn from two or more available facts. Another definition of inference based on science. In science, there are a few different types of inferences, but in general, an inference is an educated guess made through observation. You might use these inferences to share a potential reason why something happens or how it happens. And in literary definition of inference, when you're reading, you can make inferences based on information the author provides. The literary definition of inference is more specifically using clues provided by the author to figure things out. You might use these context clues to figure out things about the characters, settings, or plot. Inferences are an important part of reading comprehension.
Making an inference. Making an inference is a result of a process. It requires reading a text, noting specific details, and then putting those details together to achieve a new understanding. In other words, inferences are not created in a vacuum, or it is not cut off from the rest of the world. This is important to clarify as many students attempt to have an inference and then go find the supporting evidence. That is reverse of what needs to happen. So, dito pumapasok ang primary and secondary sources kasi doon bumabasok kapag gagawa ng inference. Historians interpret the information from primary sources to draw conclusion and make inferences. How to make an inference in 5 easy steps. The first step is identify an inference question. You need to determine whether or not you're actually being asked to make an inference on a reading text. So, kailangan mo munang malaman kung kailangan ba talaga ng inference o hindi. And if it's needed, then the most obvious question will have the words suggest, imply, or infer. The second step is trust the passage. Now that you're certain you have an inference question on your hands and you know exactly what an inference is, you need to let go of your prejudices and prior knowledge and use the passage to prove that the inference you select is the correct one. So you have to trust the passage that offers you the truth. The third step is hunt for clue. Your third step is to start hunting for clues, like supporting details, vocabulary, characters' actions, descriptions, dialogue, and more. Kailangang intindihing mabuti yung reading text and be observant sa mga words or sentences na ginamit para makahanap ng clues. The step 4 is to narrow down. The last step to making a correct inference on a multiple choice is to narrow down the choices. So after makakuha ng clues, kailangang i-narrow down yung informations. And the fifth step is practice. To get real good at making inferences, you'll need to practice making your own inferences first. So practicing will improve your skills in making inference. Practice lang hanggang sa tuluyang matuto. Inference is studied within several different fields. Human inference, or how humans draw conclusion, is traditionally studied within the field of cognitive psychology. Logic studies the law of valid inference. Statisticians have developed formal rules for inference from quantitative data, while artificial intelligence researchers develop automated inference systems.
types of inferences. Inductive reasoning is a method of reasoning in which a body of observation is synthesized to come up with a general principle. Inductive reasoning is distinct from deductive reasoning. Inductive inference starts from propositions and data and ends in propositions that extend beyond the data. Deductive reasoning, also deductive logic. It is a process of reasoning from one or more statements to reach a logical conclusion. Deductive reasoning goes in the same direction as that of the conditionals and linked premises with the conclusion. Pag sinabi natin inductive reasoning, mula sa mga example or information na nakita or nakuha natin, saka tayo po gagawa ng isang conclusion based on sa present na data or information. So magbe-base lang tayo dun sa nakuha nating information, saka tayo gagawa ng isang conclusion. Sa deductive naman, mula sa conclusion naman, magbibigay tayo ng mga specific example. Accuracy of inductive and deductive inferences. A conclusion inferred from or made on the basis of multiple observation is made by the process of inductive reasoning. The conclusion may be true or false, correct or incorrect, and may be tested by additional observations. In contrast, the conclusion of valid deductive inferences is necessarily true if the premises are true. The conclusion is inferred using the process of deductive reasoning. What you can infer about inferences. Everyone makes inferences all the time. You can pull together these definitions and examples to make a conclusion about what inferences are, or infer what inferences are. Read a random paragraph from a magazine or book and see what you can infer about the entire piece using only the information presented in the paragraph. Dito sa what you can infer about inferences, ibig sabihin po nito, sa based sa observation mo or sa present na information, pwede ka na makagawa ng isang inference. Sabi nga po dito, pwede ka magbasa ng paragraph from a magazine or book, and based on sa nabasa mo, pwede ka na makabuo ng isang inference or conclusion based on the present data.